D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I finished. Okay, so real quick, I watched Superman and Lois, episode 10. First off, the episode was good. Second off, before we get into that, I just want to say I'm sorry this is late. In my personal life, I've been just I've been working a lot of mandatory overtime at my job. So I am exhausted. Like when you work a double shift, trust me, you'll know, like it is just like exhaustion to the 10th degree. But I'm here now. And I'm going to run through this episode real quickly just because I don't want to waste any of your time. And if you've watched the episode, you already know what happens. And if you haven't watched the episode, you probably watched somebody else break it down because that's the game of YouTube. It's speed is the game, and the quickest one gets the views and everything. But I just want to talk about this episode. It is good. I think that 2 episodes ago, I think that one was just maybe it was just that one episode. It wasn't bad. It was just a little slow. And in this one, we got a lot of good news and stuff in terms of like the cancer portion of the program. I believe there's only 3, maybe 6. Maybe this is a 16 episode season. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember. Okay. One thing that is kind of annoying me just a tiny bit is they keep mentioning Lex Luthor, and we know they cast Lex Luthor for this season, and I just go, if you're saving Lex Luthor for the last episode, I'm kind of going to be a little bit annoyed because we still don't know if this show is going to be renewed. It better be renewed. I'm telling you right now, it better be renewed, or me and James Gunn, we're just going to have interactions all day on Twitter, every day, all day, every day. I will not stop. I'm going to be very upset. So let's get started on this breakdown, yo. But before we do, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we just keep getting shoved to the back of the line, you guys. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get started. So it starts off with Lois. And she's on her last treatment of chemo before her surgery. And I liked this part right here. I did tear up a little bit right at the get-go because he's like, you did it. And she's like, we did it. And I was like, that's really nice. I was like, and then she goes up to the bell and she's giving this long speech, and it's a voiceover and everything. And I thought it was touching, and I really liked it a lot. Like I said, I teared up. It was very sad. And then she did the thing where she was like, screw cancer. And they all screw out screw cancer. Cancer sucks, man. Listen, in this world, I mean, we all know either somebody we know close to us has been touched by cancer, or we've gotten cancer, and it's just it's devastating to everybody. And yeah, you can't. It sucks. Okay. So that part, I was like, yay. So he brings in the Mannheim board. And they're just going through all this. She looks at this paper. Hold on. So here they're getting this. They're getting these. This is the Smallville Gazette, but they're starting to get this stuff around Mannheim, and now we find out. We find about his wife, who is onomatopoeia. Anyways, and she's all like, I don't want people to write. Basically, she doesn't want people to write bad things about her. So she's gonna go and she's gonna talk to her. And then and she's gonna convince her, because she's dying. She's gonna convince her that she should tell her story, because some people do that when they're dying. So then Mama Lane is getting ready to, or not Mama Lane, Lana Lang is getting ready to meet the governor, because in the last episode Superman fought that one dude, I can't remember his name, Miller. And she's all like, oh, she's like single. She's also a single mom. And, maybe this could lead to, the Senate. And I'm all like, oh, get out of here right now with this nonsense. So she's like, your abuela will be able to pick you up. And what are you going to do? She's like, oh, nothing, just going to hang out and everything. She's like, all right, wish me luck. So then she gets a text from the old mayor, Junior, and it says, still want to be friends? Senior Kager at the fairgrounds. You should come hang. So she's like, okay, I'll come hang out. Then these two are sitting here. And Chrissy's complaining that she doesn't have enough stories to fill the Gazette every week, month, whenever that comes out. And she's like, I'll be surprised if this meeting with the governor gets me 2,000 words. And so he's like, I got a story for you. And he busts out these pictures of the ice at the last fire. And he's like, I think there's a superhero in Smallville. And she's all like, you don't have any, this is not evidence. I can't print this. And he's like, I got evidence right there. And she's like, it looks like Freon, like a fridge exploding. He's like, I would know what Freon smelled like and stuff. And she's like, I can't print this. Basically saying it's kind of a conspiracy theory. I have to just say, even though he's correct, there is a superhero in Smallville, she cannot print that. Like, that's not evidence. Just because you got some ice at a fire is not evidence of a superhero. So she's not, the Guardian. She can't just print, conspiracy theories and nonsense. That was a jab at the Guardian. Fuck the Guardian. Okay. So she's like, I'm sorry, babe. So these two are playing games, and he's like, oh, and earlier he was like, I'm gonna hang out with the boys today while you go see Pia. Like, hey guys, we're gonna hang out today. I thought we could do something fun or whatnot. So they hear about the cake or two, and they're like, let's go. And they're like, what about dad? And he's all like, he's all the time being Superman. We can make up excuses too. And they're like, okay. So he's this kid, I can't remember his name, he's getting ready to go see his mom Pia, and he's like, hey, I have something for you. And he gives them these little cufflinks. Now, just so you know, inside the cufflink is the cure to her cancer. He's like, I want you to do something for me. And so he's like, hey, I got WrestleMania tickets and everything. And they're like, did you get a shirt and everything? He's like, yeah, it's Big Old Beluga or whatever the guy's name is. Hold on, look at that shirt. That's awesome right there. What does that say? The Builder or something? I don't know, but man, that's awesome. Okay. And they're like, no, we've got some plans. He's like, oh no, it's cool and everything. So they're going to go hang out and at the Kager, the Rager guys. So he's all like, she's like, I'm going to go and talk to her because I feel like I can convince her to tell me her story. So she's all like, she's like, oh, what are you doing here kind of thing. And she's like, listen, she's like, tell your story. She's like, this is the last chance you're going to get to tell your story. I don't want people writing about my friend, about how she was a monster. And she's like, fine, I'll do it. And so then she shows up. She's like, listen, I gotta talk about Kyle. And she's like, listen, I'm not gonna carry weight for your relationship. Okay, I've given up on him. The governor's here. So the governor shows up and she's like, you brought press? She's like, yes. She's like, you brought your own press? She's like, this is Chrissy from the Smallville Gazette. And she's like, oh, the one who wrote about who didn't agree with my education reform or some crap like that. And she's like, and I'm all like, ugh, please. So they go to the Kager, which I don't understand how anybody didn't know about this party. This party is huge at a friggin' fairgrounds in a small town. I'm like, how did nobody know about this? And so, yeah. So his girlfriend shows up and then everybody's making out. So he goes up to Sarah and Junior here's telling a story and he's all, and then, what's his face? Jerry, yeah, the other brother. I can't remember his name. This kid. Okay. So this is the thing. I liked him last season, but now he's turned back into season 1, Simp Boy, and it's just disgusting. It's just like, grow a pair, dude. And he's all like, he's ruining the story, and he's like, oh, it was just so then she's trying to get the story going, but she's all like, hey, why don't you go grab a beer while Junior finishes this story? All I have to say is like Jordan is better looking than Junior. Junior is got this weird hair thing going on, but whatever. Anyway, I mean, Jordan's hair is like all fluffy, but at least it's, kempt. Anyway, so they're sitting here. He's like, the boys wanted to do their own thing. So she's telling her story, but she won't give up the fact that she killed Moxie, boss Moxie, and she keeps trying to say Lex Luthor did it. So he's all like, why did you scoff me off like that? And she's all like, because he was in the middle of a story and you just interrupted like an asshole. And he's like, and then he makes the comment, sometimes I wish I had never fallen in love with you. And she was like, yeah, I feel the same way. And I was like, oh, you guys are just being mean to each other for no reason. So then she's all like, she's going through about how the town will rebuild and they'll be okay, and how they've moved funds from one spot to another and everything is going to work out. And she's like, you did good here. She's like, you're a single mom, huh? And she's like, yeah, just recently. She's like, yeah, some single moms. You get a bunch of single moms together and we'll get stuff done. I'm like, yeah, except a marriage. You won't get a marriage done, honey. And she's like, yeah, he cheated on me. And I'm like, why did he cheat? There's and she's like, probably cheated with some floozy, huh? And she's like, and she's like, you don't have to defend it and everything. And I'm like, oh man, Chrissy, just getting the blowback right here. Chrissy keeps getting hit after hit, man. And I'm just like, this girl seems really sweet, and she's just taking it on the chin like every other day. So then at the care, they're sitting here talking, and she talks about the fire, and he's like, can we just not talk about the fire station? And so he's all like, basically like, just, bad for me kind of thing. But he hears the cops coming. And so they run. These two get in the car, and he's like, turn off the lights so they don't see us as we pull away. So he's like, you're such a badass getaway driver. She's like, yeah. So then she finally flips on the lights, and there's a huge deer, and they flip over. But then as they're like spinning or whatever, Jordan comes in, and he blurs through and saves them. The blur. Remember Smallville when he was called the Blur? Remember that? That was pretty fun. And they're all like, huh? So then they turn around and they see Jordan. Oh, no. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. We got to see him real quick. So they see Jordan. He boom right away, like the blur. And he's like, did you see that? And she's like, I say what? And then so they're sitting here, and he's all like, he's like, somebody saved us. And they're basically like, she's got a DUI. There's no way we can just let this fly, my dude. And he's like, it's fine, I get it. And so he's pissed. And then they're like talking about the guy, and he's like, wait, you saw somebody? He's like, yeah, I saw somebody. He's like, Sarah, you saw somebody? She's like, I have no idea what he's talking about. I didn't see anything. It's because they all know the secret kind of thing. They all know the secret. Anyway, so she's like, I'm gonna try one more time to get Pia to give up the fact that she killed Moxie. So then he's all like, he's yelling at him about going to the party. He's like, I had to save her. And he's like, yeah, but you lied. So he's like, so go upstairs because you're in trouble. So these two are just talking it out, whatnot. And he comes in, and she almost gets up, but then she's like, Mare, it's for you. And she's like, that's my ex-husband. She's like, that's our ex-husband. She's like, why did you get up right away? And she's all like, and everything. And I mean, she's trying to put two and two together, but I'm all like, who cares? So she's all like, yeah, our daughter got arrested. And then she's like, is that their daughter? And she's like, I don't know. She's like, I think we're done here. So then she's all like, as she's talking to Pia's all like, listen. She's all like, you don't want Lex Luthor out. Lex Luthor is bad for the world. You want him in jail. And she's all like, I'll tell my story after you let me see my son. The son comes in. So they're pissed off at her, and he's like, you saw somebody. And she's like, and they all know the secret, so they're keeping it from Kyle, right? Which he's going to be pissed off next episode, and you're going to be like, whatever. So then he's like, Mom, he's like, that cure Dad was working on? He finished it, and I got it for you. And he takes off the cuffling, and he pokes her with it. And then he gets home, and he's like, give me the keys to the car. Have you been drinking? He's like, I wasn't drinking. He's like, all right, fine. You're grounded for lying, though. So then she's like, let me have one more chance with her, and then you can, and because she doesn't have that much time. And he's like, the cure worked. She's like, what? And she's like, now you're gonna take me out of here, or I'm gonna just bring this whole place down. And she's like, Dad. And then she's like, and everything. So look at her jaw. Why does she do that with her jaw? And everything. So then she's going to break out. Well, then Kyle shows up, and he's all like, Jonathan has superpowers. He's like, he thinks that you have superpowers. He's like, and he's like, he doesn't have superpowers. We'll talk about this tomorrow. And she's like, open it. And she's like, I can't. I don't have access. She's like, who's behind that door? And she's like, everybody. And she's like, but if you break that door down, everybody is going to know that you're trying to escape. And she's all like, you wouldn't do anything for your son. She does her little powers, and she escapes. And he's all like, listen, I gotta go, dude. And he's like, I want to talk to Jonathan. He's like, you need to leave. So he tries to go in the house, but then Clark pushes him back with just 2 fingers. He gives him the fingers. Next time it's gonna be the shocker, so you better watch out. And so he's like, I will explain everything tomorrow. And he's like, I don't have time. I will explain everything tomorrow. And he like flies up in the air, and Kyle's all like, what? And so there's Superman, and she's doing her onomatopoeia noise thing. She's like, and he hears stuff like, this is Paris. And I think that was just Paris. And so he flies back here, and she's gone. And then he's like, I did it, Dad. She's like, you did it, and everything. And they meet back up and everything. And then they're a family reunited. And that's where the episode ends. And like I said before, this episode was good. I mean, it could have been a little bit more action-packed. Like, that's my biggest problem with this season so far. It's not that it's not good. It's just a little bit more action would have been nice. But, you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do kind of thing? But it still was a good episode. And I'm excited. So I feel like we've wrapped up the cancer storyline, and not in quick succession, which I think now looking back on it, that's probably the best way. Because you notice how some of these shows, they just wrap up stuff like storylines just like that, like in an episode, they're just like, boom, it's done. This one, they've taken their time with this cancer storyline, which I think was good, respectful, and, you know, I think was a good choice. So I will see how this season turns out. I think it has 6. It might have 6 more episodes. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up right now. But tell me what you guys thought about this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your favorite part? Who's your favorite character? Mine used to be Jonathan, but it's not so much anymore. But all right. But tell me what you guys think. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. You know, I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next week on time with my Superman Lois breakdown and review. You guys have a good week. Bye.